one final point before we go tonight. A feminist writer at The New Yorker named Helen Rosner recently went on a Twitter rant about how men can be better feminists. The fundamental premise of her rant assumes that all men are sexist and all men are at fault for Harvey Weinstein's disgusting behavior. I would like to address a few of her points, because isn't that why feminists spew this nonsense, so I can shoot it down? Ms. Rosner starts by saying, if you are a man unsure of what to do to support women right now in your daily life, beyond, like, not sexually harassing us, some starting points. So first of all, Ms. Rosner assumes all men sexually harass women, even the men that don't. This is why, when feminists claim that they are not man-haters, nobody believes them. Then Ms. Rosner says to men, in order to be a better feminist, they need to overcome your own transphobia. Trans women are women. Accept the lived truth of NB and GNC people, whether or not they are women. Well, even Ms. Rosner can't decide whether these people are women or not. She's so busy virtue signaling, she literally trips over her own premise. The thing is, men are men, and women are women. It doesn't matter if you cut off your genitals, you're still a man if that's how you were born. I don't say this to offend anyone. I'm a full supporter of allowing people the liberty to live their own lives how they choose. It's none of my business. But stop trying to force men to marry a man who cut off his junk who now calls himself a woman. She goes on. Be pro-choice, she says, and be vocal in support of reproductive rights. And generous, give to abortion funds. Understand that the opposite of reproductive choice is forced childbearing. Right. What better way to support and champion women than advocating to end the lives of hundreds of thousands of unborn women every year? Nobody is forcing anybody else to bear a child. If they are, please point that out to me so that I can stand with you against it. But where is that happening outside of polygamous compounds in the Islamic State Caliphate? Put down The Handmaid's Tale for 1 second. Welcome to reality. If you're not willing to accept the responsibility of sex, don't have sex. But don't pretend that killing the life of an unborn child is good for anybody. Then Ms. Rosner says, support subsidized birth control. Support non-taxed menstrual products. Ask your workplace if tampons and pads are free. Get over your embarrassment about menstruation. Okay, so Ms. Rosner, I assume, is one of the hashtag hands off my birth control crowd. But when government takes its hands off birth control, like she says she wants, like President Trump did when he rolled back the Obamacare contraceptive mandate and hands women the responsibility of their own birth control, she freaks out. She basically wants you men to take your hands off her pills and put them in your wallet to pay for her pills. Then Ms. Rosner says, men can be better feminists if you vocally advocate at your workplace for longer and more egalitarian paid parental leave, whether or not parenthood is part of your life. Advocate for lactation spaces. Advocate for on-site or subsidized childcare. Can you imagine a single dude, not a parent, in the office advocating for lactation spaces? Everybody would avoid that guy. Cultivate genuine, intimate, non-sexual friendships with women. And here, Ms. Rosner identifies exactly why the majority of married women don't identify as modern progressive feminists, because feminists want your husband to have a lady BFF. We've got just a couple more here. Anytime you see a building, she says, street, institution, etc., named for a man, see how long it takes you to find a spot, another one named for a woman. And try not to get hit by a car while you participate in this useless activity. These are the things feminists actually think will make men be more like feminists. Ask yourself what you don't do, she says, for whatever reason that you also think of something women tend to do. So, send birthday cards, care about skincare. Try doing it for a while. And then when you've gotten in the habit of getting your nails done on a regular basis, expect these same feminists to complain about gender appropriation. But she's not done. Ms. Rosner says to be a better feminist, men should befriend children. And then blame Helen Rosner when the police arrest the creepy guy trying to make friends with kids in the park. Talk less, she says, in all spaces, at all times. Says the woman who spent 20 tweets telling men why they are so horrible. Okay, so this is clearly the dumbest list to hit the internet in a long time, maybe even since Hillary Clinton's list of 67 reasons why she lost, but none of them were her fault. Here's how you can actually be a better feminist. Be good, godly men. Be willing to give your life to protect the women you love and the women around you. Be proud of your country. Respect women. Advocate for women. Advocate for unborn women. Don't use abortion and abortifacient birth control as an excuse to treat women like sexual objects. Cherish who we are as women. Our fertility and our sexuality are part of that. Don't apologize for being a man. Most women love you because you are a man. Masculinity is not something to be ashamed of. You are not inherently sexist. You are inherently a man. Pass that on to your sons and protect the rights, the freedom, the liberty of all Americans. Of course that includes women. And ignore feminists who try to demean you for being men in order to push their bitter liberal agenda. And that's my final point. You can reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you liked the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. In the meantime, catch us here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then, have a good night. Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. The Boy Scouts announced on Wednesday that they will now allow girls into their troops. A very bad decision. Every Boy Scout knows one universal truth about human nature. Girls are distracting. The Boy Scouts should be for boys only, not for girls. It doesn't make us bigoted. It doesn't make us close-minded. It doesn't make us discriminatory, and it doesn't make us exclusionary to say that. Let's look at it this way. Boys are boys, and girls are girls. Girls can't be boys, just like boys can't be girls. Stating the obvious, am I not? Well, perhaps, but in the twisted, progressive culture choking our country right now, what I just said is actually a very controversial position to take. I don't care. It's the truth. Make no mistake, this is not a victory for women. Not at all. The girls allowed to join the Boy Scouts, they've been reduced by the left to pawns. They've been used. Who actually wins here? The gender-bending cultural Marxists who pretend that if you identify as a dog, you're trans species. If you're white but you feel black, like Rachel Dolezal, you're transracial. If you're a man and you feel like a woman, you're transgender. That's who wins. This is not about gender equality. It's about erasing gender. It's not about biology anymore. It's about feelings. This is an attack by the left, an effort to water down masculinity. Don't believe me? Well, look for yourself. 2 years ago, the Boy Scouts banned water gun fights because pointing water guns at each other isn't kind. Tearing down men is not how to make women succeed. But tearing down men is how to tear down our free society. And that is where we get to the crux of this fight, why it is so important to protect opportunities for men to be with other men and cultivate how to be a man. Because boys are boys and girls are girls. We are different from each other. To deny our differences rejects the very essence of human nature. You know who tries to erase human nature? Communists. There's a very simple and dangerous reason cultural Marxists want to destroy the idea of gender. If we erase gender, that erases traditional gender roles in society. If we erase gender norms in society, that erases traditional relationships. If we dissolve man-woman relationships, that breaks down marriage. If we attack marriage, that destroys the family structure. If we lose the family structure, people all across the nation will be forced to resort to reliance on the government instead of their families for everything you can think of, A to Z, from emotional support to education, from financial assistance to morals, God, and friends. What happens when people rely only on government? 1984 happens. And the liberal government politicos who pushed this cultural suicide on us in the first place, now in a position of absolute power and control over every aspect of our lives, grow very, very rich. Never underestimate the power of your voice in fighting these culture wars. We can win the... Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. Happy International Day of the Girl. Today is the day where feminists all over the world pretend to champion women, mostly by posting anti-Trump memes on Twitter. When I say pretend to champion women, I mean pretend because feminists are full of it. Look at my Twitter timeline on any given day. Count how many ad hominem attacks, downright nasty poison is hurled at me because I'm a conservative and blonde and female. Then look for the feminists defending me. Spoiler alert, you won't find any. Feminists claim to champion women, but they only champion women who are part of their woman card-carrying pantsuit club. If you're a woman, a victim of Harvey Weinstein, feminists won't defend you. If you're a woman, a victim of Bill Clinton, feminists won't defend you. What was it Hillary and her hit team called those women? A parade of bimbos? If you're a stay-at-home mom, feminists won't defend you. They diss you. Ann Romney never worked a day in her life, feminists claimed. It's not like I just sit home and have tea parties, Hillary Clinton said. If you're an unborn woman, feminists won't defend you. You're just a lump of cells. If you're a woman who voted against Hillary, feminists won't defend you. You voted against your own voice, Michelle Obama claimed, and Hillary won't absolve you for the way you voted if you voted for Trump. That means you're not a real woman, according to feminists. If you're a gun-toting woman, you're part of the problem. You're to blame for mass murder. You're not a real woman, and feminists won't defend you. If you're a pro-life woman like me, feminists expel you from their so-called Women's March, championing all women, they claim, except pro-life women. If you're a Christian florist or cake baker, feminists won't defend you or your right to live your life and practice your religion the way you see fit. If you're a woman enslaved by Sharia law, feminists won't defend you. Islam is a religion of peace, they claim. No mention of the rape, honor killings, oppression, and death suffered by women enslaved in the Middle East. If you're a Catholic nun who doesn't want to pay for somebody else's birth control, well, you must hate women. So who exactly does that leave left once we've eliminated pro-life women, unborn women, gun-toting women, Christian women, conservative women, Trump-voting women, Muslim women, moms, and women abused by Bill Clinton and Harvey Weinstein. What kind of women do feminists defend? Well, men who identify as women, women wearing pink hats stomping around dressed like a crotch, and women who wear pantsuits. That's who. Happy International Day of the Girl. Join me in celebrating this day by rejecting feminism and embracing our liberty.